Welcome back to Turning Point Tonight, where together we are charting the course of America's cultural comeback. My name is Jobob. Thanks so much for sticking with us. Right now, it is time to check in with Turning Point's White House correspondent, Monica Page, at the White House. Monica, thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me, Jobob. As always, love coming on.
So the tariff talk has been a huge topic of conversation throughout the entire administration. Now, there's big tariffs set to happen tomorrow or the day afterward. Actually, let our viewers know why it's not tomorrow, specifically April 1st.
Well, hello from a very windy White House here, right outside the Oval Office, where there is a Marine standing right outside, which means President Trump is in there. He has been in there all morning, all afternoon. He's getting ready for April 2nd. Now, you mentioned it's not going to be April 1st. Now, President Trump said it himself explicitly. He didn't want it to be on April 1st and be this announcement of these tariffs because he didn't want people to think it'd be an April Fool's joke. That is exactly what he said just a couple months ago when he was kind of previewing the tariffs were coming at some point within this administration, within the first 100 days of his administration. So it will be on April 2nd. He's also dubbed it as Liberation Day, where we are going to be having more opportunities to invest in America. And President Trump's blueprint has really been simple when it comes to these tariffs. If you invest in foreign countries, you invest in a country that's not America, it's going to cost a little bit more. But if you invest here in the United States, the president is giving a little bit more incentive for you to do that through deregulations, through making things a little bit cheaper, made in America. You want to support the country that you're living in. So, I mean, these are all positive things, no matter which way the media really tries to spin it.
Yeah, it's fascinating to see, and I wonder too. We've seen a lot of these tariffs kind of get pushed to a later date. It kind of sounds like that's not going to happen here, and also the whole tariff conversation is making some interesting bedfellows. The United Auto Workers Union came out, who historically has not supported conservatives at all. Can you kind of talk about how the administration is kind of either welcoming these new factions or how are they handling that?
Sure. President Trump welcoming this with open arms. It's very interesting. The United Auto Workers CEO, Sean Fain, came out and in support of these tariffs. It's a very good thing. It's giving these companies initiative to invest and grow in the United States. And God forbid, if something were to hit the fan here in the United States, we could rely on our own supply, our own resources in order to keep things afloat, instead of relying on places like China and relying on places overseas for maybe our resources to make these cars or for cars in general, because the auto sector is huge when it comes to these tariffs as well. So this will give so many opportunities here, small businesses as well, an opportunity to really succeed and thrive. Tax cuts, the president has also been pushing here in the United States if you want to start your business here, or if you even want to grow your business here in the United States. So you not only have the auto sector, but you have plenty of other industries here in the United States. I was reading a New York Post article just this afternoon regarding the fashion industry and how a lot of our clothes are made cheaply overseas through Shein, through Temu. No more of that. Everything should be homegrown, better for jobs, better for our own economy, and really just boosting the domestic growth itself.
Yeah, and also people I think recognize too that products made outside the country that are shipped in are usually crap. They fall apart, your
Yeah.
clothes rip, it's just garbage. American made things are just better in general. So that'll be really interesting to see who gets brought into the fold of MAGA America with these tariffs. And obviously we'll probably talk about this more as the week continues. Monica Page, Turning Point's White House correspondent, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Joe Bob. And definitely keep an eye on for April 2nd, President Trump making this big announcement from the Rose Garden right here at the White House. So we'll be sure to share with you some of that important news, and definitely going to be a big day for the country.
Not an April Fool's joke. Monica,
No.
thanks.
Yes.
It'll be really interesting to see how those tariffs that are going to be coming out over the course of this week actually affect really everything that's going on. And we'll obviously check in with Monica as often as we can. This story I thought was fascinating. This is not happening in the United States yet. And that is the problem. You have a bunch of libs across the planet, really, trying to force nonsense down everyone's throat. And that nonsense, well, manifests itself in ways like this. A toddler, someone aged 2 to 3 and whose identity is specifically being withheld for privacy reasons, which I totally understand, was expelled from a nursery school in the UK for the inability to believe a transgender person is actually real male or female, according to the parents. Let's bring our panel back in to discuss this. Adrienne Gray and Anthony Watson are here to talk with us. So this, I mean, at a certain point, ridiculous becomes so ridiculous that I don't want to say even almost funny because that's my natural inclination, but this is just crazy. It's maddening that a toddler, by the way, I have a toddler. She doesn't know what anything is, and well, actually, let me rephrase that. She knows what is and doesn't have the capacity to understand what isn't. In other words, if she sees a boy, she says boy, and if she sees a girl, she says girl. Adrienne, this is a level that I didn't know people could sink to. Having a toddler being expelled from a school because they weren't accepting of gender inclusivity.
Yeah, this is wild. As a boy mom myself, obviously this struck a chord with me, but it's like peekaboo, you're canceled. These kids should be focusing on learning the ABCs, not the LGBTQA plus alphabet. We're supposed to be prioritizing these things, learning colors, counting, but these butt-hurt liberals are obsessed with transphobia. It's their new hill that they're dying on, But children should be focused on playing with Play-Doh and not having these adults molding their young minds to fit their ideologies and narrative. It's sick, and they're obsessed.
I wonder if in lib families they sing LGBTQIA 2 plus 4 6 G 12Z. I don't know the rest of the words. The acronym is too long. But Anthony, your thoughts again, being around. So you're around a lot of students, Turning Point students, which is fantastic. But even at some of these kids in like even your elementary schools don't even understand the concept. What does this mean to do this to a toddler?
Oh man, because every toddler carefully crafts their socio-political ideologies between snack time and nap time. Next, you're going to read out of the UK, breaking news, preschooler gets expelled for insider trading with applesauce. What you're seeing right here is a well-crafted attack on the family, because now what this does is it forces parents like yourselves to now garnish your child behind closed doors to be like, now, if you want to go to school, you have to make sure that if Tommy says he's a girl, you have to call him she. And what that happens now is that, it puts pressure on the parents at home because now their child may get kicked out of school. Any school that they want to enroll their kid into, that's going to be on their record as some sort of crime. When a kid literally at that young age doesn't know the difference, because there is no difference. It's male or female. It's XX or XY, and it shouldn't be anything else. All this LGBTQ plus IA, the gay BCs, whatever you want to mix this Molotov cocktail of frustration of, I ain't sipping the Kool-Aid. And so everybody else is now trying to play the game just for societal pressures that literally in the end start breaking the family apart, which is why you see a bunch of teenagers and young adults now separated from their family because of the peer pressure they get at school because their home foundation isn't secure. By all means and by every means necessary, parents need to now start at any cost taking charge to make sure that their kids are raised right. It's not about growing up. Growing up is when you take the influence from wherever you find it relatable, even if it's bad for you. But when you're raised, that's when your parents, through all the adversity, through all the challenges, through all the trials, teach you the things that inevitably become a part of your DNA that you don't change from. And if it's happening there, everyone over here is like, well, that'll never happen here. But in certain ways it is. Look at all the stories that happened with all the people in daycares that were dressing up these little boys in dresses just because they felt like trying them on. And they didn't do it when the parents came in and said, don't you dare put my son in a dress. I don't care what he says. I don't want that. And if you do that again, this is what's going to happen to you. And it needs to be more of that.
Yeah. So you mentioned throwing a Molotov cocktail into reality. Speaking of Molotov cocktails and the type of person that would want the whole transgender ideology crap put in schools are all the people that are probably attacking all of these institutions that we have here in the States. A GOP office in Albuquerque, New Mexico was firebombed with a Molotov cocktail over the weekend. And also Tesla showrooms continue to see attack after attack after attack. Now, I really don't want to make light about this because this is, in my opinion, and in the opinion of the Attorney General, domestic terrorism. But I did want to show this clip from a protest outside of a Tesla showroom. Anthony, specifically, I'd like you to watch, take notes, and then we'll ask for your assessment after this. Watch this. no way that Elon Musk can stand the power of a coordinated dance. I also liked, I didn't see this the first time watching this, but the lady with literally the swastika on a sign doing the electric slide. Yeah, gee, man, I wonder if the Allies had just done that, maybe we wouldn't have needed to storm the beaches at Normandy. We could have just danced the Germans out of France. Holy cow. Anthony, first of all, why do libs always have to resort to dance battles? And two, as a dancer yourself, can you critique their dance moves?
Well, I won't even desecrate the legacy of the electric slide with that. That's the swastika shuffle, we'll call it. But what you see here is a group of oxymorons that don't know the difference between reality and what's fake, because these are the same people that were protesting for the Green New Deal and getting rid of carbon emissions. And here came Tesla, and here they are protesting in front of a Tesla shop. But yet, if all of these green, like weed smoking hippies actually took a step into reality to actually see the damage that one lithium battery can cause to hundreds of acres of green land around them, they wouldn't be supporting it in the first place. And these are the same people that march for Palestine. And then, they're saying that Elon Musk is a Nazi, but if he's a Nazi, shouldn't they be hand in hand as allies since they're all against Israel right now? These are things that most people don't really think about that actually end debates. And, when you can't win over with words, you win them over with your dance moves.
Yeah. Maybe Adrienne, in my 30 seconds I got left here, should conservatives take to the dance floor to combat the woke ideology of the libs? Is that gonna work out well in our favor?
I don't think so. I think we're just better at winning debates and winning elections. But what Anthony said is exactly right. And if I could just point out that blowing up an EV battery is about the dumbest thing you could do on Earth. If you are for the environment, we've learned how toxic that actually is.
Yeah, that's the irony there is lost on them. But again, so is reality. Adrienne Gray, Anthony Watson, thank you guys so much for joining us today here on Turning Point Tonight. We'll have you back as soon as we can. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Hey, coming up here on Turning Point tonight, we've got an awesome clip from Turning Point and Alex Clark's Culture Apothecary podcast, as well as MAGA Monday coming up right after that. Don't go away. We'll be right back after this.